Good afternoon, Tom Dermody, Mayor of the City of LaPorte here for a special edition AMA Ask Me Anything. And today, um, glad to be partner with Leap's Ask the Experts. And so I just want to welcome everybody and remind everybody that, hey, while this tough time is happening, we will get through it. Things are improving, and it's going to be together that makes it possible. A couple things while you're at home this weekend, we put out a new promotion through our new communications director, Jessica Bruder, who I'll give a quick hello to. Take five. Hashtag take five is just spend 5 minutes around the community, social distancing, wearing gloves and a mask. But let's clean up our community. And if you do so, follow our Facebook page and you will see a place where you can send a picture, put take five on it of you cleaning up LaPorte, and we will send you a LaPorte Proud t-shirt. So please take five, and together we're going to make LaPorte proud when we come out of this. And we will be on AMA back to our normal time next Tuesday at 3 o'clock with our weekly update from Dr. James Leonard from LaPorte Hospital, and we'll look forward to seeing you then. Until then, Mike Riley, he is not the expert, but he will lead us into Ask the Expert.
Yes, I won't declare to be any expert. So I want to thank first the mayor for letting us join his Ask the Expert section for today. Um, as the president of Chamber Services for LEAP, we've been getting a lot of questions and concerns for our small business community and trying to bring answers in regards to loan assistance, tax assistance, and those kind of questions that small businesses want the answers to. So I've tried to compile the best array of experts that we've got for you today. So we're going to eventually hear from all of them. But we have with us Lori Felt from the Small Business Development Center. We have Bill Gertner from Horizon Bank, Jessica Romine from Parkinson and Hinton, Erica Dombey from the Regional Development Company, and Maria Fruits from the Healthcare Foundation, who will bring us a lot of information. I think it's good information to share with our business community today. This information will be, along with a slideshow, will be on LEAP's website, which is laportepartnership.com, after the event, as well as our Facebook page. So if you don't, as we're going through the information, you don't get a chance to see it visually, please visit that site to get more detailed information. We'll also have some collateral materials for our group as well. So to try to get into the presentation a little bit quicker here, I just wanted to give some thanks to our staff. First, Bert Cook, our executive director. We have Lindsay Johnkind, who's our marketing and membership director. Jordan Snyder, who's our new administrative assistant, taking over for Sylvia Espinoza. Sylvia retires, unfortunately, at the end of this month, and we want to thank her for her contribution to our entity. And Angela Rose, who's our downtown director. The staff's been putting in a lot of time this over these last few weeks and trying to get information out to our public and our downtown, and I want to thank them for that. My name is Mike Riley. I'm the president of Chamber Services with the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership, and I'll present a little bit here upcoming, but this segment here wouldn't have been able to be brought to you folks without the help of Tim Frankie and Dunlin Media. We want to thank him. I know I never would have been able to put this together. I'm still hoping that everybody sees and hears me at this point with my technology experience. So again, we want to provide our business community with the best possible information. You're going to hear some information today that's probably bittersweet, some good information, and probably some things that could be frustrating from the standpoint of funding and those kind of things. But I think overall, it's going to provide our business community with some ideas and some direction on how to go forth for not only our for-profit, but as you will hear, our nonprofit businesses as well. So I'll start off. We had something come out probably the last couple days from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which is some great assistance and provides grants to area businesses for those employees of smaller entities, and some of the smaller entities who need the most assistance make up a very big portion of our nation and our economic vitality. So some of the basic things on the screen. You'll see what, and the grants are up to $5,000 for small business. And it is coming out when on April 20th. So that will be Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I went through this. And again, a lot of this information that we're getting is very fluid and changes by the hour, as you'll hear from the rest of our presenters. So that comes out at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So for you folks that are listening, take heed to that. Jump right on it around 2 p.m. at that time and get your applications in. I went to the site, and as you'll see, there's www.savesmallbusiness.com, and this comes from the Chamber's Small Business Initiative, excuse me. And it's a very quick application. All you need is a W-9 and answer some questions. The terms of the funding are again similar to some of the programs you'll hear today. It's probably going to be on a first come, first serve, but go to that website. You can get email notifications and sign up for email notifications on that process. So before I turn it over to our first speaker, I just wanted to sort of address the small business community. And some of these things that we go over today are short-term gaps and obviously much needed funding for our small business community. But it's a great time, as I've been telling people and talking to people, to sit back and sort of reflect on how you do business now and then how you'd want to do business in the future. And as we come out of this, it's going to be interesting to see those businesses that actually learn lessons from this process and this pandemic and the uncertainty of these times, to see how they sort of morph their business and plan to grow. And just keep that in mind, and always be thinking about how you can do business better, how you can do business virtually as we roll out of this. If there's social distancing that needs to play for our restaurants and gatherings, make sure that you're taking those things and really considering how you're going to ramp your business back up and be sustainable. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Lori Felt, who's the Regional Director of the Northwest Indiana Small Business Development Center, and she's going to provide us with our first topic. So thanks, Lori.
Thanks, Mike, and thanks to the LEAP team. I'm going to do a quick update today on the economic injury disaster loans. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Small Business Development Center, we have a small team of business advisors who help small business owners and those starting businesses in good times with ways to start and grow. We're in a bit of a challenging time right now, so I would say about 90% of the time we're spending helping people access some of the disaster programs that are available and helping them in other ways as they deal with the stay-at-home order and other challenges that small businesses have. So you may have heard about EIDL, or the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. The SBA made available about the third week of March or so. This is the first of the two disaster loan programs. And hopefully those small business owners listening have applied for that. This is the one where small businesses and nonprofits are eligible. You see the interest rates hopefully on your screen there. An enhancement was made to EIDL when the CARES Act was approved that provided for a loan advance or cash advance. Some people are calling it a grant. This was the offer of up to $10,000 for small businesses to use that they actually do not have to pay back. So that's certainly something that's gained a lot of interest. And of course, the SBA has received a lot of applications for EIDL. So an update on that. First of all, if you applied directly on the SBA website. This went morphed through a couple of different versions, but hopefully you made your way through the EIDL application. The change that occurred was yesterday, when I think most of us heard on the news, the SBA disaster loan funds, the appropriation had lapsed. So they had worked through all of that money. Just to reassure you, if you had already applied for EIDL prior to yesterday, your application is actually still moving through and will be processed. But effective yesterday, if you had not applied, that application is no longer on the SBA website, and applications, at least temporarily, for EIDL have been suspended. So for those who have applied, some good news. We are seeing the SBA continue to process those first come, first serve. So hopefully you have your spot in line. I heard good news from a couple of different small business owners this morning who did receive a cash advance direct deposited into their account. In both cases, they had not gotten any other communication from the SBA, just noticed the additional amount in their balance. So I guess that's a nice surprise, right? In terms of timeframes, applicants who filed or submitted their application in later March seem to be the ones that are receiving cash advances and some loan offers now. So call it maybe 2.5 weeks or so, the turnaround time so far on these. I don't know, maybe that will accelerate. We are seeing these being processed today for sure. It appears the cash advance through EIDL will be about $1,000 per employee. So if you have several employees, you might get that full 10,000. But if you have a smaller company with smaller number of employees, probably that amount's going to be quite a bit lower. In terms of the loan side of EIDL, the cash advance is not something you have to pay back. We are seeing small business owners receive initial offers typically in the $15,000 area for this low interest, long-term loan direct through the SBA. Probably the question I'm getting most often is, how can I track my EIDL application? And just to make you aware, there is not an online way to find out the status of your EIDL application. There are a couple of things on the screen there. I mean, you could try emailing the SBA at the address listed there, disaster customer service at sba.gov, or calling that 800 number. But please be aware, you can just imagine the SBA is flooded with these applications. And of course, it's been very difficult to staff for the demand that they're experiencing. So I don't know, other than packing your patience, if you're going to get a whole lot out of trying to call the 800 number at this point. But rest assured, it looks like these are being processed, and hopefully those of you who have applied will be hearing from the SBA fairly soon on a cash advance and your loan. And that's pretty much the update for EIDL. Shall I turn it over to my friend Bill Gertner from Horizon?
Yes, and before we do that, Lori, I just wanted to, I didn't mention at the beginning, but those that are streaming Facebook Live, please ask your questions on the feed, and then Mr. Frankie will come at the end and sort of ask some of the questions that were brought up during the feed. So thank you, and now we'll go to Mr. Gertner. Thanks.
Great. Good afternoon. Just wanted to thank Leap and the rest of the partners here today for allowing me the opportunity to sit with you all and talk about what's happening in the world today. With that being said, I think that the topic of my past couple of weeks outside of the obvious has been most definitely the payroll protection program that was rolled out officially on 4/3 through the SBA, and I can tell you it's been definitely a race to obtain these funds as quickly as possible. I'm sure that everyone has been hearing through the news media and so on and so forth exactly how this process is rolling out, and it's been nothing less than well, let's just say a difficult time for everyone. With that being said, as we've been hearing, the funds have been utilized already. We are anticipating, and still most banks are continuing to accept applications, knowing that we do believe that there'll be additional appropriation of funds for this program coming up. With that being said, I can tell you that at Horizon, we've been processing over 2,000 applications and have appropriated almost 250. I'm hearing almost 300 now $1 million for just our bank alone. So obviously, nuts and bolts of this program, it's directed to incentivize the businesses in order to keep their payroll and also hire people back as quickly as possible. The way that you apply is you do apply through a bank, not through the SBA. And typically speaking, the process is to apply through your bank, and they handle the application through the SBA and also simultaneously try to approve things and get funding out as quickly as possible. What you need to know about this program, and a lot of the questions that keep coming up are, "Hey, is this a loan or a grant?" Well, it's kind of a little of both in the fact that it's a loan that can be forgiven as long as funds are used for payroll purposes, the majority of them, and they have to be used within 8 weeks of funding. There's no payments for 6 months, which is really interesting. And after that time frame, there's an interest rate of 1% that's charged on this. And at some point in the near future, you'll be able to request reimbursement or payoff of the eligible portion, and it'll be forgiven. And that part is definitely something that we're still trying to determine how that will work exactly. So what's happening right now is everybody that has been approved is going through the process of getting funding. With that being said, I can tell you every banker I talk to is having a difficult time in processing these applications just based on the sheer volume. Everyone at every bank seems to be pulling in all types of resources in order to process these applications, and it's been nothing less than a difficult situation to try to get everyone their funding. Where everyone is aware that businesses are in need of these funds and need these funds as quickly as possible. Um, so it's just taking time to process these things is the best way I can put it. I can tell you that funding is happening. People are getting money, and it's happening very quickly from the standpoint of uh, approval to actual funding. So when folks are asking me, well, where are things at in the process? I unfortunately you can't call the SBA to find out. The best thing to do is to speak with your local banker that you've been working with, and finding out exactly where things are at with your specific loan. What they'll probably tell you though is that they can either assure you that the SBA is has earmarked funds for you, and whether or not it's been officially approved. I can tell you from my own experience, it's been a very quick process from the time of, hey, the loan's approved to, by the way, check your email. We're signing documents right now. I need you to jump on and accept the terms and conditions so that we can fund your loan. So it's definitely been a race, to say not to I don't know a better word for it. Some things to think about with this program. Unlike your typical loan request, there's no personal guarantee on this, nor is there any type of collateral. Um, I think that I wanted to share with you also the checklist that Horizon Bank put together, and I just want to kind of mention that all banks are putting together a different type of checklist. So this is just basically a sample of what you would anticipate looking at, and the majority of the banks are asking for it. Hey, we need confirmation of what you're using the money for, obviously, in some way to support that. So the route that we've chosen is basically looking at your payroll tax reports, your quarterly tax reports, and a breakdown of that specific information so that we can back into that loan amount. Um, with that being said, it's the application, I have to say, has been fairly simple to complete, which has not always been, I think, the thought of most bankers, that the SBA applications were easy. So that's definitely a good thing. But all banks again are kind of determining what's the best way to prove when it comes time to actually request forgiveness of these loans, what we're going to need to supply, and that unfortunately is kind of up in the air. So that's why you're getting, I think, a different checklist from every bank at this point. Um, Again, just wanted to mention to everyone that I think that all bankers are trying to process these as quickly as they can. You know, the comment that was made today was that, you know, the SBA processed 14 years worth of applications in 14 days. I can tell you that's definitely been the experience here at Horizon, and we're basically setting everything aside in order to process these loan requests. So I just want to assure everyone that I think that all banks are in the same scenario, and they're pulling all their resources to get people funded. With that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Mike Riley, and appreciate your comments and questions coming up.
Thank you, Bill, and appreciate the information. As the common theme there is that a lot of people that are in this process, the big takeaway is if you want to keep tabs on that process specific, contact your local banker, work with them directly, and as well as the SBA if you've got an EIDL loan involved in that. So next, I'm going to turn it over to Erica Dombey, who's president and executive director of our regional development company, and she's had a pulse with our small business community as well. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Erica.
Thanks, Mike. Hey, we at the RDC are, I guess you would say, a contractor for the Small Business Administration, the SBA. So we're used to dealing with SBA regulations, rules, paperwork, all of that kind of good stuff. So even though we're not administering any of the new loan programs that are out there, we've been getting inundated with calls because they call me the SBA lady. So we've been answering a lot of questions and fielding a lot of calls on both of the loan programs. I think that they have gone as well as can be expected, both the PPP and the EIDL loan program. You have to understand that government systems were not set up for this type of pandemic, be it the SBA loan system or the unemployment rolls or the healthcare system. Nothing in this country was set up to handle what we are asking it to handle right now. So anyone who has been patient, I would say I appreciate your patience. We all appreciate your patience during this time as we all kind of sort this out as we go along. We've been hearing the same things from our clients and also people that are just contacting us out of the blue. The EIDL loans are coming through. We are having people over the past week that are receiving that $1,000 per employee, which is great news, up to a maximum of $10,000. And we are seeing actual loan requests come through as small as $5,000 for that program, up to $500,000 for that program. So we have seen some more generous EIDL loans come through the system as well. So that's good news. That program was kind of set to the side when the PPP program came out. And the PPP was administered directly through banks. So there was, again, a learning curve there. And unfortunately, that money for the PPP ran out almost instantly. So we thought, $350 billion would get us a little further than it actually did. There is a request in Congress to throw an additional $250 billion into that pot. Unfortunately, it has been stalled for the last 10 days. And they won't be back in session to even discuss it until Monday. So while we remain optimistic that more money will come through, I don't think it's anywhere near a guarantee that we'll see more money come through that PPP program. There isn't any discussion right now about throwing more money into the EIDL program, so we're not anticipating that program will open back up. On the RDC side, I would say I'd like to mention that we do have what's called a debt refinance program. Now, this is a permanent program that we offer. And for businesses that, as the Governor Holcomb spoke today, looks like we'll be closed through May 1st, but then we're going to start to reopen. So we're going to start to enter our new normal, and we're going to start get back to operations. And as businesses look toward that, we go from short-term panic, oh my God, I don't have any money, to how do I fix the issues that I found myself with, whether you did or did not receive any funding from the emergency programs. As business owners look toward that, we do have a program that can really help some small business owners in the area, and that's our debt refinance program. If you own your commercial real estate, the building that your business is in, and you occupy it at least 51%, you can get cash out of that building and use that money to help pay expenses going forward, pay off additional debt, your credit cards, your line of credit that maybe you drew on during this time because you couldn't get access to anything else. Consolidate that debt, draw it back out over 25 years at an interest rate of around 3%. So in doing that, that can really better a business's cash flow going forward. You're going to come out of this. You're not going to get those instant sales that you were hoping to get. It's going to probably be a slower climb. This will bring your monthly debt service down and allow you to go ahead and restructure your entire monthly payments and really benefit your business in the long run. So now that the idle is gone and now that PPP is kind of on the ledge, whether there will be more or not, this is a really great program for businesses that are looking forward. And with that, I'll throw it back over to Mike.
Yeah, Erica, before we turn it over to Jessica, I don't think we touched on it, but I'll ask you and Bill. Some people have existing SBA loans, and it's understanding that that some of that will be forgiven or payments will be made by the government. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, anybody with an existing SBA 504 or 7A loan will have their payments paid for them by the government for 6 months. This is not a deferment. They're not going to get them added on to the end of their loan. It's not going to be considered income. It's like a governmental sugar daddy. Their payments are just going to be made for them for a 6-month period of time. So that would be through September 27th of 2020.
And it's my understanding, and I read this, that if they currently are on automatic payments, are they supposed to take that automatic payment off through their bank or not?
No, no. That it's been. I know for all the 504, every 504 borrower in the nation, Wells Fargo just flipped the switch and nobody's getting auto drafted. So the borrower should not have to do anything to get these payments made for them.
Is that the same understanding through you, Bill?
Yeah, absolutely. We've basically flipped our switch on automatic payments as well for any 7A loans that we have on the books, and we've sent out instruction to all those borrowers that they will be receiving 6 months worth of principal and interest payments. And you're right, it's not a deferment or anything like that, because that's been one of the questions: is this going to be added to the loan, or how is it going to work? And I love to tell them, remember all that paperwork you complained about? Now it's working out for you.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, Erica. And then now we're going to switch gears a little bit. I know everybody wants to get funding, and now we want to understand how it relates to our taxes. And we have Jessica Romine, who's a certified public accountant with Parkinson and Hinton Inc. So Jessica, fire away.
Hey guys, as everybody has already said, thanks to Lee, thanks to the mayor and Tim Frankie for getting this out to as many people as we can. I know we're all trying very hard to contact our clients, keep them up to date with the most relevant information as it is changing regularly. And with that being said, I am going to try to be very clear and concise with the slides that you're going to see that are in my presentation. I will preface this with saying that there's a lot of information that is not on these slides or included in this presentation, and it's really important at this time to reach out to your accountant, to your CPA, to continue having that relationship with them, because this isn't a time when we want to try to cut costs in that area. We really want to maintain that relationship with everyone and work with you so that everybody is still in business and going strong as we get through the other side of this. With that being said, the first slide shows information on the income tax deadlines. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this. The federal and Indiana state tax deadlines have moved from April 15th to July 15th of 2020. This includes both individual, some corporation partnerships, and estimates. So we have until July 15th. You can still file your tax returns or e-file them and not make any payments if you have taxes due until July 15th of 2020. And there will not be any interest or penalties accruing during that time. In line with that, there's a lot of payroll tax deadlines that are coming up. And so to go through these somewhat quickly, there is a program for deferral for federal taxes that is primarily the employer's share of the Social Security tax. So again, reach out to your accountant to find out information about that. The state unemployment tax, which normally would be due at the end of this month, is being extended to May 31st of 2020. So you have until then to file and pay your state unemployment for the first quarter 2020. In line with that, it's important to note that the Indiana state and county taxes are still due on their normal schedule. So they are not extending those deadlines. That is primarily because that is the employee's share, and you as the employer are acting as a trustee of that money. And so that is still due at your normal regular times, as is the Indiana sales tax. That has not been extended. So please be aware of those things. And again, if you have questions, reach out to your CPA or your accountant. Moving on to the payroll tax credit or the paid leave credit, those are put out to employers as a way to reimburse employers that are required and made, it was kind of in response to the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. So employers that are required to pay for sick or family leave for employees, these are credits that employers can go after to help compensate back to the employer for the money that they are putting out for employees that are not able to be at work. There's some eligible requirements there. You have to have fewer than 500 employees. You have to have paid out the sick or family leave, and you have to be required to have done that. So you won't be able to apply for the credits until you actually pay out the money for your employees. And once you want to go about applying for those credits, you can do so either on your quarterly federal form 941, or you can use form 7200. There is a lot of information on this particular credit. Just going to the IRS's website, there's probably 20 plus pages of information with links and a lot of questions and answers. It's very intricate. There's a lot of exceptions, and this is definitely a time to reach out again to your CPA. I hate to keep beating that statement to death, but really it's some tedious information to read through on the IRS's website. And I would also like to say that this credit is available to not-for-profits, for-profit businesses, and also self-employed individuals. So that will allow everyone within those requirements to apply for this. And you can use this credit along with if you were able to receive the PPP loan. So there's not one or the other. In this instance, you are allowed to do both. However, it's also important to note that this credit is considered taxable income. So if you are able to get this money, it's also going to be reported on your business tax return and become taxable income. If we move on to the next slide, the employee retention credit, This was made available for all employers, regardless of size. And its intention, as many of the other programs, are to keep employees on payroll. Therefore, any business that has suffered either lost 50% of their business in the first quarter of 2020 as compared to first quarter of 2019, if your gross sales or revenue has gone down 50% or more, or if you have had to fully or partially suspend operations of your business, this is definitely a great credit to look for. A good example of this would be the restaurants and bars in LaPorte County. Obviously, they're still able to operate, through carry out or drive up, but they're definitely partially suspended in their operations. And there's minimum and maximum credits available for this. I will point out that this is available to for-profit businesses and not-for-profits, but it is not available to self-employed individuals. The other key point in this is that the employee retention credit cannot be used if you have received PPP loan money. So it's important to make sure that when you're going through these and looking at what your options are, look at what's best for you and compare it with what you're able to combine with other programs. The employee retention credit cannot be taken with the PPP loan, but it can be taken with the paid leave credit program. So there's a lot of information out there, and it's kind of confusing times and confusing even for some of us with the changes that are being made. But I think that with a little research and talking with your CPA, you'll be able to find out what's best for your business and your situation, and definitely come through this stronger in the end. And that's my spiel, and I'll hand it back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Jessica. And once again, we'll just preface that there's a lot of information that you all will be seeing throughout the presentation. And again, I think the recurring theme is that you go to your resource and your accountant, your banker, your RDC, your Small Business Development Center, LEAP, the city administration. There's somebody out there who can answer your question. If they can't answer your question, as the mayor said earlier, I by no means am an expert and probably never will be, but you can still come to me, and if I can't answer the question, I would love to get you to one of these folks, and that's why we appreciate them. So we're going to move to our next presenter, who's works with the Healthcare Foundation of LaPorte. We have Maria Fruth, President, CEO, and as you probably hear on the Ask Me Anything segments, the Healthcare Foundation's been a great partner. The mayor's been referring everybody to their website for a lot of information, and they're a great partner in helping our nonprofit community. I want to take her thunder, so I'm just going to turn it over to Maria and thank her for joining us today.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, good. Well, hello everyone. As an introduction, I know that because our foundation is fairly new, there are a lot of questions regarding what is the Healthcare Foundation, which we usually refer to as HFL. So if you go to the first slide, I would like to just give a quick introduction, but also to acknowledge Mike, thank you, Mayor. We appreciate very much the opportunity to be able to be sharing this with the community. Thank you. So on the first slide, you get to see what is the LaPorte Hospital, the Healthcare Foundation of LaPorte, HFL. We're an independent private foundation that was created March 1 of 2016 as a result of the sale of LaPorte Hospital, IU Health LaPorte Hospital. We give about 5% of the value of assets annually, and we support health and wellness programs and services. Our vision is to see if we can get LaPorte County to the top 10 healthiest communities by the year 2030. So far, from the short lived life of HFL, we have awarded about 14,600,000, and we do strategic grants in the areas of healthy living, healthy children, and healthy minds. A lot of the smaller grants under 25,000 for Healthy Laporte. We do a lot of capacity building. We have a not-for-profit leadership academy and scholarships to county students pursuing careers in healthcare. And we have a very robust AED program, and we have funded about 60 AEDs so far, distributed through schools and not-for-profits. We also do some very special projects because we're very concerned about certain, health areas in the community. So Partners for Healthier Babies is an initiative that's trying to solve preventable baby deaths and low birth weight. And it is a very large collaboration of medical providers, public health agencies, not-for-profits, community members throughout the county. And the second one is Partners in Prevention, which is a $2.8 million grant for 3 years for all the schools that applied. And the majority of them did, or with I think the exception are just 2 very small schools. And basically what we're trying to solve in here is how do we do prevention, substance use prevention. And through technical assistance and evaluation, we support all those schools for this particular program. So this is a little summary of what HFL is all about. I would be remiss not to mention that we have an incredible board of directors, all of them community members. They are the overseers of this organization. And I also would like to acknowledge my incredible, very small, but amazing staff. And we work closely together to be able to accomplish all of this. If we can go to the next slide, we can address what are we doing at present time. So present time, normally we have 2 cycles throughout the year. First one that we award in July, the second one that we do in November. And we're in the middle of this cycle 1 and hoping to accomplish all of this to be able to award by July 1st. The second cycle, we're looking at dates depending on how many emergency grants we do have, but we're looking to begin in May of this year. So I'm going to focus on the COVID-19 emergency grants. Again, at the board meeting, to be able to understand the present situation and create some kind of platform, how do we immediately attend some needs in the communities? The board voted to create a bucket of dollars that we could not only address food needs, the elderly and other high-risk populations, supplies to support emergency response, healthcare emergency response workers, not-for-profit serving the community during this crisis, and that are in need of, protective PPE, as we refer to, and equipment. And then at the same time, keeping an eye on our not-for-profits to make sure that they have business continuity. As you know, a lot of the smaller not-for-profits have a very small budget, and that would be a disaster if we, on the end of this crazy time that we're living, we realize that, a lot of them could not survive, and we don't have the services in the community. So that's our phase 1. And again, if you go to our website, you can see the list of all the different organizations that we are helping. And I'm going to answer upfront the question about what do you do for small business? Our small business focus is not-for-profits. So just to respond to that, the ability to do other things through all that you heard from different speakers, but not through the Healthcare Foundation of Laporte. And then eventually we're going to be doing a phase 2, and this one is designed to address the long-term effects in the community and to make sure that we have recovery funds available and, communicate to the whole community and start to address long-term needs in a different way. I think we have one more slide, if I'm not mistaken. No, we don't. Anyhow, I invite all of you to visit our website because we have collected all the information that we possibly can with help from a lot of different organizations. We work, by the way, very closely with United Way, with the Unity Foundation, our community foundation for Porte, with the Dunlap Foundation, and we're in constant communication to make sure that we're taking care of the not-for-profits, food banks, all the different entities they need to deliver, a high volume of service at this present time. And very happy that we have that wonderful collaboration and we can attend a lot of needs. Right now, HFL is very focused on PPE, protective equipment for the not-for-profits, not only the staff, but all of you that are volunteering out there to deliver meals or to help at a food bank. We want to make absolutely sure that you have access to masks, to gloves, to whatever it's needed. So we have starting to receive all that equipment and we're starting distribution to all of them that are in need of it. And again, thank you to Mayor Dermody for being what I call the connector. He has discovered a tremendous amount of assets throughout the community. So locally, we can see, a company that's doing masks, another one that's doing hand sanitizer, and it makes life much easier because, as you know, it's pretty impossible to get any of those items overnight because everybody throughout the country and throughout the world is looking for them. So the competition is pretty big, and we want to make sure that, if it's local, we give priority here. And we cannot say thank you enough to those organizations, to manufacturers that are bringing that to the table. Thank you so much, Mike, for the opportunity. And again, www.hflaport.org. Go to the resource hub. You can find incredible information. Where is a food bank? All the different ways to access SBA loans. If you want to volunteer, there is an area there that you can click. And give us your feedback if there's something else that's missing. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you again, Maria. And Tim, if we can go to the next slide with the contact information, but any of the resources, any of the presenters today, please, again, reach out to them. And we're going to, hopefully, we've got a few questions through the live feed that we can address to our presenters today. Mr. Frankie, did anybody, you have anything that came across?
Yeah, I'm seeing a few questions. Jerry Stance asks, what if you miss the deadline? Are you out of luck?
Lori, do you want to answer that one?
So I'm guessing that the question has to do with the deadline for SBA programs, the funds running out. I would say we're in a holding pattern here. Hopefully, U.S. Congress will appropriate some more small business funding, in which case the PPP might be an option for that particular individual. As mentioned before, we haven't heard much discussion about EIDL obtaining any more funds. So the hope is that PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, will be funded additionally, and then that individual would be able to continue to have his application considered at his bank. Hope that answers it.
Yeah, I would also add to that, we shared with the presenters before the call that the LEAP had a call with Senator Todd Young's office earlier this afternoon, and I think he is on board with, I'm sure, a lot that funding for the PPP should continue. There's an additional $250 billion that was mentioned. Whether all or some of that went toward that program, I think the consensus is that at some point it will open back up. So for the small businesses out there, I would be prepared, or at least have things in order and talk to your banker. Maybe you can't get in the pipeline now, but you might want to have your information ready so you can jump on it at that time. So that would be great to be sort of proactive about that.
Thanks, Mike. Julie Trapp asks, what if you operate a business yourself? Assuming maybe she's talking about a sole proprietorship.
Anybody want to?
So maybe I'll just jump in. For a sole proprietor, obviously PPP is really not a good fit if you have no employees. EIDL may have benefit for that individual. There is also, if they are not able to work at all right now due to stay-at-home or other issues, There is pandemic unemployment assistance available to sole proprietors and self-employed people. The Department of Workforce Development is working on a way to attain those benefits through their unemployment insurance state website. Actually, you can go in and apply for unemployment. If you just search Indiana unemployment, it'll come up. So that might be an option as well if they are completely unable to work.
Great, thanks, Lori. Mayor Dermody, this is probably a good question for you. Lauren Klumsky asks, where will, I'm assuming she meant when will government buildings reopen?
Well, we're hearing from the governor's office that, the state of Indiana might start looking at a slow opening as the 1st of May. We're going to see what the governor has to say, but also we're not going to be in a hurry to open up city buildings to the public. We found during this time that, there can be interaction via phone, via email, and we want to be very cautious for the public's sake. So, we're going to still see what the governor has to say coming up for May 1st, but it'll be a slow rollout. And we will be accessible. We will be available always, but it may be more via phone and email here at City Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. And another question from Deb Teets. How do we pay property taxes? Which, just in case you didn't see, your Chief of Staff Annette answered at LaPorte County Treasurer's Office, 555 Michigan Avenue, LaPorte. And I'm guessing right now you would need to mail that payment in, as I believe most offices are currently closed to the public, but we'll probably see that change when the governor's orders change. Maureen Garrison asks, when will we be able to get rid of branches and yard waste in brown bags, Mayor?
Well, what we've had right now is the county solid waste district has closed Ziegler Road as it is considered not an essential business. That will be up for review when Governor Holcomb changes his order, and it looks like he has extended the current order through May 1st. So Ziegler Road will not be available until May 1st. So unfortunately, you'll be holding on to your brush a little bit longer, and hopefully by May 1st or close after that, when Ziegler Road opens, you'll be able to take your yard waste there.
Thank you, Mayor. And Bill, this might be a good question for you. Peggy and Francis Lewandowski ask, why aren't our tax bills being sent to our mortgage company?
Why aren't the tax bills being sent to the mortgage company? I can't imagine that that's not the case. As far as I'm aware, I just got one myself personally. It may be that you received a copy of the tax bill, which is a lot of folks, when they see that copy, they think it's the actual tax bill. That may be the scenario. I would absolutely double check with your mortgage company to ensure that they did receive it, and if not, find out what you need to do in order to ensure that they receive a copy for the future.
It's a good point, Bill. I know I escrow my mortgage or my taxes with my mortgage, and I get a copy of it, but on the bottom, if you do look, it says this is just a copy, not a bill. So hopefully that's the case with yours. Julie Trapp asks, what if you pay rent and aren't getting a break from who you pay rent to?
Well, I think from the city's perspective, that's between the landowner and the tenant. And what we do have through the governor's order, though, right now is someone cannot be evicted or removed from their home based on non-payment.
Great, thanks. Let's see. Jennifer Lee, Jess, I've seen conflicting info on public entities being exempt from the paid leave FML tax credit. Is that true?
Sorry, Tim, can you repeat that question? Conflicting
Sure.
information on what?
Conflicting information on public entities being exempt from the paid leave FML tax credit. Is that true?
public entities being something other than an S corporation, C corporation partnership. When they say public entities, I'm guessing they mean governmental, and most of the governmental entities are not included in any of these tax credits, as they have other programs and things that are going on in that respect. So I'm not sure if that answers the question or not.
Let's hope so. Let's see. Tom, no, you already addressed that. I think. Here's one. How can we get our hands on sanitizers and hand sanitizer and masks? Also, second question: when do our shops open?
Great question. Well, the shops won't open until the governor comes out for May 1st or sooner to decide what's going to happen with the retail environment. And then number two, the city of LaPorte, the county of LaPorte has had amazing partners such as Prairie Packaging out in Kingsbury, where they've totally adjusted their production to start making hand sanitizer. You can reach Prairie Packaging. In fact, Joe Smith, I'm just going to make him a star and give out his personal cell number so that you can get direct with Joe, and that is 219-393-6768, 219-363-6768. And then if you're interested in masks, we have Sterno Delivery, who right now has a large order from Maria Fruth and the Healthcare Foundation, and that will take priority. But after that, you can reach Rhonda at 363-3683.
Thank you, Mayor. That's all the questions I'm seeing currently. So, Mike, if you want to wrap us up, we'll get out of here.
Yeah, I just again want to thank the mayor for letting us piggyback off his normal session on Friday. It's great to get all these presenters and stakeholders in play. I think it's critical information. We will have this video available on the LEAP website as well as our Facebook page. So if you missed anything or would like more information, please go to our page. You can call me directly at LEAP at 324-8584 or my cell 219-575-2038. I do want to hit on that. There was a question earlier, but the businesses that have 3 to 20 employees, so those smaller businesses that might be affected more dramatically with this downturn, please apply on Monday at 2 o'clock for the grant through the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and please share that information with me if you on how the process is, so I can run that up through the channels and make sure. They didn't specify how much funding was available, but it'd be good as we find out more information. I'll share that as well. But I want to again thank everybody who presented today. You guys are all very appreciated. I know you have busy schedules. Bill's probably getting a little bit upset with me because I keep talking and probably wants to get back to his application input process. And I know Jessica has maybe a couple deadlines on some taxes, but thank you all. Thank you, Mayor, and you all have a great weekend.